Devin Haney's next move is starting to take shape, and it looks like he is turning his back on the idea of big-name rematches at the lighter weights in favor of something more targeted: title unification in the welterweight division. Coming off his recent win over Brian Norman Jr., which earned him a world title at 147 pounds, Haney and his team are now openly looking toward Rolando "Rolly" Romero as the next man in their sights. That direction was not left to rumor for long. Shortly after the Norman fight, Haney's father and manager, Bill Haney, went straight to social media and made it clear what the camp is thinking. On X, Bill posted a message asking fans directly if they would want to see Devin Haney versus Rolando Romero in February 2026. That single post was enough to light up the boxing community and shift speculation away from names like Gervonta Davis or Ryan Garcia. The signal from Team Haney is simple: the current WBA title holder, Rolly Romero, has moved to the front of the line. The timing of this is important. For months, fans and pundits had debated whether Haney would circle back to settle unfinished business at lightweight or super lightweight. Talk of potential rematches with fighters like Vasyl Lomachenko, Regis Prograis, or even the possibility of finally facing Tank Davis has trailed him ever since he left 135 pounds. But by stepping up to welterweight to beat Brian Norman Jr. and grab a new belt, Haney sent a message that his future is likely at 147. Now, with Bill Haney's hint about Romero, the path is becoming clearer. No looking back, only unification and legacy in a new division. It helps to understand where Devin Haney is coming from. He made his name as one of the best lightweights of this era, traveling to Australia to beat George Kambosos Jr. in 2022, then beating him again in the rematch to become and remain undisputed at 135 pounds. After that, he defended his undisputed crown in a disputed points win over Lomachenko, a fight many observers felt could have gone either way and one that sparked immediate calls for a rematch. Instead of staying put, Haney chose to move up to 140 pounds. There, he dismantled Regis Prograis in late 2023 in a one-sided performance that won him the WBC super lightweight title and reinforced his status as one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. What came next was strange: a chaotic build-up to a fight with Ryan Garcia at 140 that ended with Garcia missing weight badly, winning the bout in the ring, but having it ruled a non-title fight, followed by a failed drug test on Garcia's side. The result left Haney with his first professional defeat on paper, yet still officially a world champion at the weight. It was a confusing situation that did little to move his career forward. After that mess, Haney once again chose to look up in weight. He jumped to welterweight, took on Brian Norman Jr., and walked away with the WBO belt in a new division. That win opened the door to an entirely different set of targets. Instead of focusing on grudge rematches or score settling at 135 or 140, he can now try to unify at 147 and carve out his place among the best welterweights in the sport's history. That is where Rolando "Rolly" factors in. Romero, the outspoken puncher from Las Vegas, currently holds a version of the WBA title and has never been shy about calling out big names or disrespecting their styles. He has already taken a shot at Haney, mocking him by saying they would need ankle weights in the ring just to slow Devin down. That was a jab at Haney's movement-heavy, slick boxing style, a style that many purists admire, but that some casual fans knock as boring. Now that Haney owns a major belt of his own at 147, the idea of a unification fight with Rolly is no longer just social media chatter. There's something real on the table. One fighter with the WBO belt, the other with the WBA strap, and a chance to bring them together in a significant matchup early in 2026. For a champion trying to make a statement in a new weight class, that's a logical move. There's another wrinkle in all of this. Before Haney's name became attached to Rolly, there were already rumors circling about Romero being lined up as the comeback opponent for Manny Pacquiao. Some within the sport floated the idea that January 2026 would be the perfect time for Pacquiao, a legend of the welterweight division, to return to the ring one last time, and that Rolly Romero would be a fitting opponent. It would match an aging icon against a loud, much younger title holder in a fight that would draw huge attention around the world. According to whispers in the business, discussions for Romero versus Pacquiao did happen, but the talks never truly took off. As the months passed, that potential matchup stalled and then froze. No contracts were finalized, no official announcement came. The idea faded from the front pages, leaving Romero's future open and creating space for a different big fight to step in. Now that Haney's name has been attached to Rolly, it looks like the momentum is swinging away from Manny and towards Haney. From Haney's side, the attraction is clear. A fight with Rolando Romero offers three things at once: a chance to unify titles at 147, an opponent who has publicly disrespected him and can help sell the fight with his words, and a matchup that, on paper, favors Haney's strengths as a technician. Rolly is heavy-handed, unpredictable, and awkward, but he's also technically flawed and has shown vulnerabilities at the elite level. He was stopped by Gervonta Davis at 135 after walking into a counter shot, and he looked shaky in his controversial win over Ismael Barrasso to grab his current belt. Devin Haney, by contrast, is a disciplined, polished boxer who thrives on controlling distance, using his jab, and minimizing risk. In stylistic terms, many analysts would see him as a nightmare for Romero, able to outbox him, avoid big exchanges, and pile up rounds on the scorecards. That doesn't mean it's an easy fight. Rolly can punch, and his awkward timing can catch opponents off guard. But if you're prioritizing a first unification bout at welterweight, he looks like a manageable and strategic step compared to notorious power punchers or more technically complete champions. That may explain why Bill Haney's poll on X focused on Rolly instead of Tank Davis or Ryan Garcia. Fights with Tank or Garcia would be huge, but they come with different complications. Davis is tied up with his own promotional arrangements and has his pick of lucrative opponents at 135 and 140. Garcia is in the middle of rebuilding his image and career after multiple controversies. Negotiations with either man would be complex, expensive, and potentially messy. In comparison, Rolando Romero brings a belt, plenty of personality, and fewer political obstacles.
It's also important to remember that Bill Haney is not just a coach, he is a strategist and promoter in his own right. When he goes on social media and floats a specific opponent, he is not just asking fans for a casual opinion, he is testing the market, sending a signal to other promoters, sanctioning bodies, and broadcasters, and beginning to frame the storyline of Devin's next chapter at welterweight. Framing Rolly as the next target plants the idea in the public's mind that this is the logical fight to make. The unification angle adds real weight to that story. Even in an era of multiple belts and interim titles, unification still means something in boxing. If Devin Haney can walk into a welterweight ring in early 2026 and walk out with both the WBO and WBA belts, he instantly becomes one of the primary players in the division. That would put him in line for even bigger fights down the road, whether against other champions, big-name contenders, or even crossover stars looking to challenge themselves at 147. The question is, what will stand opposite him on that February 2026 date? If negotiations for Romero do progress, it will likely come after another round of internal maneuvering by broadcasters and promoters eager to host a fight with title unification and strong personalities involved. Rolly has already proven he can sell a bout with his trash talk and brash persona. Haney, for his part, has built his profile through his resume, his willingness to travel, and his outspoken confidence about being one of the best boxers of this generation. Stylistically, fans have already started to debate how the fight would play out. Haney's supporters picture him keeping the bout at long range, using his jab and footwork to frustrate Romero, then tightening the screws in the second half of the fight as Rolly gets desperate and inaccurate. Romero's backers talk about Haney's chin and suggest that one clean shot, especially at welterweight where the punches are heavier, could change everything. They also frame Devin's style as too risk-averse and claim that Rolly's aggression could force him into uncomfortable spots along the ropes. Beyond the X's and O's, there is also the question of perception. Some critics argue that targeting Rolly Romero is a form of cherry-picking, pointing out that the WBA champion is generally not seen as the top dog at welterweight and has looked beatable more than once. They say that if Devin Haney really wants to prove himself against the best, he should chase the most complete fighters in the division first. Others push back on that argument, noting that unification is significant no matter who holds the belt, and that Rolly's style and trash talk will bring out a different, more personal edge in Devin. There is also the longer-term picture to consider. A successful unification win over Romero in February 2026 would give Haney a powerful bargaining chip. With two belts at 147, he would have more leverage in negotiations with other champions and bigger stars. Names like Jaron Boots Ennis, Errol Spence if he is still active at welterweight, and even the lingering shadows of Terrence Crawford's reign would all enter the conversation. Haney has always spoken about legacy and his place in boxing history. Building a multi-division resume with real achievements at 135, 140, and now 147 is one clear way to solidify that. Meanwhile, the Manny-Pacquiao angle still hangs faintly in the background. Even if his comeback fight with Romero doesn't happen, Pacquiao's name being mentioned alongside Rolly's shows just how highly some power brokers view Romero's ability to generate attention. If Manny was considered a perfect opponent for January based on Rolly's profile and title status, then Devin Haney stepping into that same space only underlines how valuable a Romero fight could be as a platform. At the moment, nothing is signed. The February 2026 date is still in the realm of plans and conversations. But in today's boxing landscape, it is often these kinds of early social media hints that tell you where things are headed months in advance. When the fighter's manager and father is openly asking fans if they want Rolly next, it means that internally the target has already been circled. What remains now is for the business side to catch up to the intention. If the negotiations that failed to materialize a Manny Pacquiao versus Rolly Romero event are truly dead, that frees up the WBA champion to pursue other options. A unification fight with Devin Haney, young, unbeaten at welterweight, and holding a fresh WBO belt, makes sense for both men on paper. For Haney, it's a shot to quickly become a major force in a new division. For Romero, it's a chance to prove that his belt and his bravado are backed up by real substance in the ring. For fans, it's a potential early 2026 headliner that blends genuine stakes, clashing styles, and plenty of pre-fight drama. The next few months will tell us whether this matchup moves from tweets to contracts. If it does, Devin Haney versus Rolando Rolly will not just be another welterweight fight, it will be the first real test of Haney's long-term ambitions at 147 and a key piece of whatever big fight of 2026 ends up defining the year.